Hello there for everybody live on the Vortex Healing Center podcast, where we talk about all types of things about spiritual awakening, healing, and meditation. And today I have, whether you're watching this live or you're watching the replay or listening to us on iTunes, we've got a really special guest with us today who you won't be able to see, unfortunately. I have her on the phone call with me, and you're going to hear her voice. And today we've got Gabriela Jaye, who's written a fantastic new book called A Square Peg, Conformity Isn't an Option. And Gabriela is a Tasmanian writer and is an intuitive and wellness consultant. She's inspired clients internationally in their journey to wellness and inner harmony. She is an energy medicine practitioner, channel, spiritual counselor, and teacher. And her new book has been published by Balboa Press just last month. I had the opportunity to read it over the past weekend, and I got to tell you, I really couldn't put it down. So first of all, Gabriela, welcome to the Vortex Energy Podcast, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Barbara. It's an honor to be on air with you.
Great, great. So we can't actually see your face, and we're doing this over the telephone for a number of reasons. And why don't you help explain your pen name here, Gabriela Jaye? Where did that come from?
Well, it is a pen name. I was given advice by my publisher to not publish under my own name for good reason, I believe. Gabriela is my spiritual name. It was given to me many, many years ago when I first started connecting with non-physical beings who, whispered in my ears non-stop. But the J was the one that I wasn't expecting, and I actually saw and heard the word J, Jaye, very clearly. And when I looked it up, in Sanskrit, it means victory, which I find quite interesting because I'm not sure what the victory is about. But that was the name I was given by my guidance. So,
That's great. And what I love about the book, and I think it's really going to resonate with a lot of people who listen to us and follow us, and that is that it's your story of the experience of awakening to your channel, your spiritual counseling, your ability to connect with the non-physical beings. And I think a lot of people really are going to resonate with it, and particularly your title of A Square Peg in Conformity Isn't an Option, because I think so many people today have grown up in that same environment. And the question is simply, when do they awaken and when do they notice that it's okay to be you?
That is a good question because it's never an easy thing to do. I heard voices and I actually travelled extensively when I was very young. But of course, that is considered imaginary play by adults.
Yeah.
And given my age, it wasn't acceptable. There's no doubt about it. And as I, normalised into society and played the game like everybody else did, I always felt like that square peg. I never felt comfortable. I didn't fit in. I couldn't understand what other people found so exciting about the things that they did. And yet I conformed. And, true happiness doesn't come from conforming to what everybody else thinks is normal. And it wasn't until I was in my early 40s and I just knew I was dying on the inside. And on the outside, it all looked perfect. And, I had to do a lot of deprogramming on myself because, what do you call it, the enculturation, the programming, the belief systems, they are so deeply entrenched within, and it's not easy to break the bonds of that. So when it came to writing the story, and believe you me, the story wrote itself.
Yeah.
The spirit pushed me to write it, and there was a great degree of urgency around it. I came to see that this was for other people, particularly all the people from the younger generation that I have been meeting and having conversations with in recent years. I got away from doing all the spiritual work publicly and went into a state of semi-retirement, but I had the pleasure of encountering and connecting with so many young people, and all of them just about without fail would say, I can't let my family down. I have to do what's expected of me. You know, I have to play along. Well, you don't have to. That's what the book is about. You don't have to be like everybody else. Yeah.
So there's actually this secret hidden agenda that you've got. I mean, you talk about it from the first person perspective. This is your story, and yet it's a universal story.
It is. It's very much a universal story, and it's been one that has been very cleverly perpetuated by state, by church, by the education system. And I will add that I used to be a school teacher, and I got out of that. Once I began to feel that stirring, that need to break free from what I had been told was reality, I came to see the education system, and I apologise to any teachers here because I know teachers work really, really hard, and they have a terribly challenging job. But the theme of teaching is to bring children through the system so they all think the same and they all function the same.
Yeah. I know that is clearly one of the downsides of modern education. Although thankfully it's not the same in every school, but I'm not seeing that in the local public schools in our district here, where we are here in St. Mary's. So I can tell you that.
And look, I have a lot of friends who are teachers, and they do a darn good job. That's not the issue. It's the mechanisms that are controlling such things as standardised reading tests and are taking away or minimising the ability to create unless it's in certain areas. You know, there's a lot of things I could go into. But, so in my book I do touch upon how we are being normalised into this matrix-type sort of situation.
Yeah, very much. And I'll tell you, it was a really fascinating read for me as you go through so many different aspects of your life. And I know that one of the aspects that you talk a lot about in the book is the time when you were a very strong channel for Edgar Cayce. And I know that was a big part of your life at that time. And I know it's also a part of what is coming from your past. He's not as active, but I know you channel many other and non-physical entities. Can you just touch base a little bit about on what that was like for you with all the attention you got as a channel for Edgar Cayce and what it feels like now connecting with so many other infinite beings?
Oh, that's a very, very complex question. Okay, the Edgar Cayce thing, it was a real privilege. There's no doubt about it. And I had the good fortune to pass on a lot of the wisdom that didn't come through when he was alive, and his trans-channelings, became very popular. But, as he said, and he talked to me just about every night, as I was going off to sleep, I would get another little bit of intuition rather than intuition. And he would work through me when I worked with clients. The biggest thing about it for me that I found very frightening was the fact that I was channeling his energy to audiences who were very familiar with his work, who knew it inside out, and I was totally clueless. I'll be honest, I knew practically nothing about his life or what he had achieved, and so I was under critical scrutiny the whole time. Yet it was very illuminating for myself, because I came to understand that we are all just one, and that we are going through this massive change in consciousness, and it's a transformative process, which is what the channelings did. They talked about this fact that we need to stop thinking that we are separated, that we're all individuals, I, me, myself, and we're all so uniquely important. We are, but we're no more, no less than anybody else. Yeah. And that we're all going through this huge shift in awareness, in consciousness, and in understanding, and it's a painful one. That was the other thing that I learned about this, is that it doesn't happen easily, because we do change energetically, we change physically as we go through it. And for me, that was some of the greatest pain, physical pain and energetic pain I had ever experienced, in holding his vibration for so long.
Yeah. We've got Jennifer Chapman's online with us here. Hey, Jen. So if any of you have direct questions for Gabriela, just type them into the Facebook and we'll see if we have time to get them in. So a couple more quick questions for you, Gabriela. When did this first come into your life? This knowing this, you talked about knowing it when you were young. Was it constant, or did you block it off for a while in the middle there? Or?
It was always there. I was born with it, and it was always there, and it caused me a lot of, how can I phrase this politely? It got me into a lot of trouble. Again and again, and I soon learned to shut up and keep my mouth closed and my opinions to myself. Yeah, it was always there, and it doesn't make me any different to anybody else. You know, we have people who have amazing gifts in other areas. For me, it's the knowing.
Yeah,
and it's a deep knowing, and I can talk to somebody. And they can tell me a beautiful story, and I'll go, no, and I say nothing. And because I'm not judging, it's just It's a vibration that I pick up on.
Hey, and we've got Beth Davies on the call as well. So please, if you guys have any questions for Gabriela, just type them into the comments. But what you're saying resonates directly with me, and I know myself, I actually shut down and stopped seeing and hearing these things, and it gotten a bit frightening, and to be honest, and I went through,
well, it does.
It does, it can be a real challenge. So congratulations to you for really holding your ground and probably learning how to be quiet about it for a while.
Oh, look, I do my best still to be normal. But what I have found is that I accept who I am, and that is what the journey is about. Is irrespective of who you are, your quirks, your feelings of being different and not the same. The bottom line is we are all just learning how to love ourselves, and that's what the journey for me has been about. Is learning to accept who I am. Valuing the differences, and also seeing a lot more similarity than I ever thought was there, because I always felt so different. I didn't see the similarities, but now I do.
Yeah,
and that's really important.
That is a mega lesson right there. Yeah,
because I've sort of shied away from the spiritual community in the last 5 years, and got myself down and dirty with Mother Earth and learned a bit about permaculture and all of those sorts of things. And I've spoken to so many people who in the past I would never have connected with, but I'm seeing the similarities, and I'm seeing the same questioning, the same concerns that I've been through. And I think this is one of the things that we need to be mindful of, is that in our culture and our society, there's a lot of bullying that goes on. There's a lot of subtle bullying that all through the media and elsewhere that says that, we're all, we're not connected. We're separated, and we're not.
Yeah,
we are one in consciousness, and I'm hoping that my book can help people understand and see themselves more sympathetically.
I think it really will. I know it resonated very distinctly with me. And Jennifer Chapman says, I know what you mean about knowing when someone is telling a tale that's not 100% true. Yeah, I think we feel it in our body. You feel it everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And we are awakening as a world consciousness, particularly in the Western culture and some of the Asian cultures more than anything. We are shifting, and it really is time for us to speak up and to become more proactive in honouring who we are and honouring it freely rather than hiding behind this cloak of being the same as everybody else.
So what's helped you decide that now's the time for you to step back into your light and write this book and share your story with everybody? What was the instigation there? Was there a tipping point there?
No, not really. It was a knowing.
It was time.
The word again, it's a knowing. It's just a knowing. I came back and I was burnt out when I returned to Australia 5 years ago. And I knew that I needed time out, and I didn't know what to do or how to handle it. But I've missed the work. I've missed that spiritual family, that connection. And I know that my book is an impetus for this to happen.
Yeah.
And I honestly had to write the book. I had no choice because every time I work with a new group of beings, non-physical beings, it means work for me, even though which is for me is love. It's not a chore. But I'm working with these new beings that have come in, and I don't know what their name is. I'm sure I can't pronounce it. I love their energy, and they are lovingly guiding me. So, what will be, will be. I don't have a crystal ball on that, and I'm not meant to know. But yeah, I'm back into it.
Oh, fantastic. Well, we're thrilled that that's happened. But what advice would you give someone else who's just starting out on their spiritual journey, or just trying to understand what is this that makes them feel so different?
Two things. One of them would be to trust your gut instinct. Trust what you're feeling. And the second thing is stop overanalyzing. Because we've been trained to constantly question everything. And that constant thinking interferes with the intuition or the gut instinct.
Doesn't it, though?
And that's right. And you talk about having the silent retreats.
Yeah.
That's where all the answers are. They're in the silence.
Absolutely. I always say they're in those spaces between the spaces. And the brain's just grotesquely overactive for every human I've ever met. And learning how to move out of the brain, out of the mind that people think is us. You are not your mind. You are so many other things. And learn.
And the heart is a true gateway to consciousness, not the mind.
Yeah.
And that goes against a lot of what the Buddha's teachings, because the Buddha's teachings are that you start with the mind and you go to the heart. And I would contradict those teachings and say, start with the heart. Everything starts there.
I agree with you 100%. To me, the core message that comes through everything I keep seeing is all about connecting to that love, and love is what connects everything. Love is what joins all those spaces between the spaces. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You're right, yeah.
And so a couple quick questions now. So what does your spiritual practice look like on a daily basis, Gabriela?
Look, I'll be honest with you, I rarely meditate nowadays because life is a walking meditation.
That's
focus
beautiful.
on the breath.
Yeah,
I do a lot of breathing. But when I am guided to meditate, I do, don't get me wrong. But nowhere near the intensity that I did many years ago. For me, life is just about feeling the joy, finding the positive in life and sharing it as much as possible. And that means, talking to someone in the supermarket, complimenting a total stranger, helping out where I can, and just sharing the vibe of love with as many people as possible. Because I've come to learn that the more we embrace the vibration of love, the more we can give it to others.
That is a really great saying. I love that. And Jen says she always tells people to see what fits with their heart. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah. So another quick question for you, Gabriela. What's the spiritual book you've given as a gift most often?
Oh, this is an interesting one because I was guided to not read other spiritual books, but I would have to say the one that I recommend a lot, and I have given, is Eckhart Tolle's The New Earth, or A New Earth.
Yep.
Eckhart Tolle. The reason for that is it's so profound in that it totally dissects what ego is. And it explains beautifully on every level how we get caught up in ego. And even some of the very spiritual people who talk a lot of spiritual stuff, have a lot more to learn, because this book, to me, epitomizes the delineation between ego and spiritual consciousness.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. And Jennifer says, thank you so much, Gabriela. It's confirmation for her. So perfect. I'm really glad. Yeah. Woohoo. That's fantastic.
My pleasure. And thank you so much, Barbara, also for inviting me onto your show. I feel blessed, I feel honoured, and I'm really thrilled to make the connection.
Great. And so what's the best way for people to reach you, Gabriela?
Gabriela Jaye, GABRIELLAJAYE @yahoo.com.
Right. And I've added here your blog as well. You've got a blog called asquarepeg.blog.wordpress.com. I'm posting that in the comments there.
Oh, that's very generous of you. Thank you.
Yeah. So for everyone, if you have not yet read Gabriela's book, I highly, highly recommend it. It's available on Amazon. I got it to my Kindle. It's called A Square Peg, Conformity Isn't an Option, and was just introed by Balboa Press last month. And this is a really great read. And I really appreciate all that you do for the planet and all the beings and entities and information you've been sharing, Gabriela. So I thank you and I honor you for your commitment to all of the beings on this planet.
Thank you so much, Barbara. It's been a joy and a pleasure.
Okay, great. Catch you soon.
Okay, bye for now.
Okay, let's see.